Gator Dave. How we doing, sir?
I am well, Mike. How are you?
I'm well. I am well. Another week. Another week. Another
Another
13
week?
games here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We kind of wrap up the final bowls and get us into the big boy playoffs rolling in here. Our really kind of fourth week of this bowl deal, right? We are Bet Utopia, number one location for all things sports betting. Please like, subscribe, give us a hit up, a shout out, whatever you can do. Because we're on the download, man. We only got this week, and maybe we do a little bit in a week or so to kind of get an update on where all the championships games are going. So the bowls are looking good. Gator Dave, Miami, Mike doing pretty well. Mike, do you have the update up there at the top to kind of give us where we are?
Yeah, so this was week 17's recap. We weren't able to go over it this past week when we had the show.
Right.
So I'm throwing that up there. Let's see, what was that? 6-6 for me. I think it was 7-5 for you that week.
All
So
right.
you were able to get a game back for me there. But this last week, Thursday or Friday and Saturday, Dave. This past Friday and Saturday, you had a good week, sir. Very good week.
Yeah.
Needless to say. So I think
Yeah.
I went 6-6 again, and you crushed it. You went, I think 8-4. So
Yeah.
you were able to gain some back again, and I still have that medal. But if you
You
look
do.
up at that, yeah, at that record, you're only a couple games back now.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not a
only
very big lead
four, man.
anymore.
No more
Not a very
double
big
digits.
lead.
Man, if I'd have known that, I might have worked a little harder on what we got coming up here. But the bowls were
I
doing
think
well,
8
Mike. I mean, if anybody's
4.
interested, I mean, Mike's at like 17-12, which is damn good. And Gator Dave's 19-9-1. So we're doing pretty well in the bowls. And usually I'm like, I don't like the bowls, Mike. But this year, we're doing well. So that's definitely a good thing. Um, so just to give you guys a glimpse of what might happen, we might have another show, abbreviated show next Sunday or Monday, right, Mike, to talk about where we're going with the CFP. Probably something short, but at least an update, maybe, right?
Yep, should be. Do a little something small. We'll get something out here.
Yep, yep. So Mike, the first game we're looking at is mañana, tomorrow, Monday, December 30th, 2:30 p.m. Trans Perfect Music City Bowl. So you got to think that thing's going to take place in Music City, the Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. So we got Iowa and Missouri. So this should be a pretty good game. Missouri's getting 3 points here, over under at 40.5. We know lots of defense with anytime Iowa's involved, we're going to have defense. So um, the over under is 40.5. So Iowa comes in at 8-4, Missouri at 9-3. Iowa won 4 of its last 5 games. They did lose to UCLA, which is kind of ugly, right? But they had wins over Nebraska, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Northwestern. Um, Mizzou won 3 of its last 5 with losses to South Carolina and Bama, wins over Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma. If we look at against the spread, we got Iowa at 6-5-1, and the Tigers at 8-4. Iowa's going to have they're going to have their quarterback McNamara at 60%, thrown for 1,000 yards. Running back Johnson at 1,500 yards, pretty impressive. 21 TDs. By the way, he won't be playing. Oops. So that running back that's had over 1,500 yards won't be playing. Missouri brings in Cook, their regular quarterback, 63%, 2,248 yards, 9-2. running back Noel. So when we look at the portal here, Iowa's got a couple in the portal. And the biggest layout is running back Johnson that won't be in the game. Mizzou has 6 in the portal. They're number 2 and number 3 edge guys, so a little bit of effect on the defense there. So Iowa, their offensive attack is a little bit better this season than it was last year. Last year they probably averaged about 25 points, and they're doing a little bit better this year. I believe they're up to 28 points on offense. So they're really rocking it in there. Not having that running back Caleb Johnson is going to hurt a little bit. I think he's one of the best running backs in the country. I think Iowa's offense is going to struggle in this particular matchup because Missouri does have a pretty good defense. So, Mike, I'm going to go with Missouri and the money line here, sir. What say you?
I'm with you, Dave. I'm with you. I think Missouri is the play for all the reasons you mentioned. You hit it right on the head. So, no more reason for me to beat a dead horse, sir.
All right, cool
Missouri
deal.
Money line.
Cool. So, next game is, I believe it was last year. Was it last year or the year before? This was like a playoff game. We got Bammer and playing Michigan in the ReliaQuest Bowl, right? That's on Tuesday the 31st at noon kickoff. Bama getting 13 here. The over-under is 43.5. Obviously, we know all the trials and tribulations of both. Bama had a little bit better record at 9-3. Michigan at 7-5. Bama won 4 of their last 5 over Auburn, LSU, and Mizzou. And of course, Michigan had that big win over Ohio State. So when we look at against the spread here, Bama's a little bit better at 7-5 versus Michigan's 5-7. I think the key here is Milroe is playing. Okay, he finished the year at 65%, pass completions, 2,600 yards, ran for 719 and 20 TDs. So he was their number 1 rusher, and they'll have Miller that'll be there at 641 in terms of running backs. Michigan used Warren in the game against OU, so I expect he'll be the play in this particular game. 63%, 11.26 on the year. Although his TD to interception is not good. TD 6, interceptions 9. So in the portal, Bama's got 14 of note. Their number 1 D lineman, their number 2 running back, number 7 pass catcher. Michigan, however, has 20 players in the portal. They've got 7 offensive linemen in the portal. And, man, if you look at the 1, 2, and 3 deep, that's a lot of O-linemen that are out, which really worries me about protection on that side of the ball, which helps me kind of lean in that direction of where I'm about to go. They're also going to be without their 3 best defensive players and issues at running back from a crappy offense. So Alabama's missing some players. Nothing real substantial about what they're missing. So with all that said, this is another one of those games you got to look at portal and who's laying out. And really where those teams would be if they were at full capacity. I mean, even at full capacity, I think Bama's going to win this game by 7-10. But with all that's gone, that 13 points is pretty easy for me here. I'm going to take Bama on the cover here of that 13.
All right. I'm going to go with the under 43.5. You mentioned it. All the guys out in the portal, Michigan out their top 2 running backs. They're both getting ready for the draft. Going with Warren, the quarterback. He is typically more of the pocket passer of the quarterbacks that Michigan has. The only thing that worries me here is Michigan's defense being able to stop Alabama for 4 quarters. I don't think Michigan is going to be able to score on this team, but I also don't think Alabama is going to be able to put up 40. So I'm gonna go with the under 43.5 here.
Mike, I think that's a great call. I really like that one. Really good call.
All right.
All right, next game. What you got there, Mike?
We got Louisville and Washington. Louisville is a 2.5 point favorite. Total sitting at 49.5 in this one. I'll keep mine short and sweet here, Dave. I like Washington plus 2.5. I think they got the better defense. I'm going with Jed Fish, who I think is the better coach. Give me Washington to pick up some momentum going into the offseason into next year. What do you got, Dave?
Mike, I think that's a great call because we're down to our to Louisville's third string quarterback, kid that around town here might have heard of, Marietta's
Is
Harrison
that
Bailey.
Bailey?
Harrison
Okay.
Bailey was starting quarterback. Mike, he's 8 for
Hey,
8
that's
for
going to be
60,
interesting.
8 for 8 for 63 yards, Mike. So that's where we are. So
Let's make a separate note about
I
that.
kind of get where you are here for the Cards. You know, Slaw's not there. Ja'Cory Brooks not there. We look on the other side of the ball. We got Williams at quarterback, and that's not the regular quarterback. But this guy is 77%, 570 yards, so quite respectable. So I'm kind of digging where you are at this. When we look at the portal, Louisville's missing 6. They got their top tight end, their number 2 safety, and then of course, you know, quarterback city is an issue there. Washington's missing 6. They're only of note. We're only talking about their number 2 linebacker. So this is going to be a battle of the backup quarterbacks. Williams for Washington does have some experience in the last game. Harrison Bailey doesn't have shit. I think both offenses are going to struggle here, Mike, and I am going the under 49.5 points here in this game, Mike.
I like that. I think that's a good pick. All right, moving on here. We got South Carolina. I think this might be the only, well, outside of the playoffs, it's probably the only ranked matchup on the board here is South Carolina taking on Illinois. South Carolina's favored by 10. Total sitting at 47.5. I'm going to go with the over here, Gator Dave. I'm going with the over. I think there's going to be points. I think they find a way. I think the game's going to be sloppy. It's going to be played in Orlando, Camping World Stadium. We both have been to that stadium. It is not the best to watch a football game. It is not the best field conditions typically.
Bad.
Especially after some other teams have already played some bowl games on there. It'll be interesting to see how that field holds up. Having said that, I'm going to go with the over 47.5. I think both teams find a way to score. I think it's going to be a race to 30 in this one. Whoever gets there is going to win this game. Dave, what do you got?
Mike, I really like that, and I think the race to 30 is going to be with my pick. So both teams coming at 9-3. Gamecocks winners of their last 6 games. They beat Clemson, they beat Mizzou, they beat Vandy, they beat Texas A&M. Illinois, they did win their last 3 in a row, but it was against Northwestern, Rutgers, Michigan. Yeah. Against the spread, they're pretty close, 9-3 and 8-4. I think the Gamecock Sellers at quarterback, man, he's going to come out next year as one of the Heisman hopefuls. I mean, the guy's done a great job, 65%, 2287, 17-7. He's run for 655 yards and 7 TDs. They're going to have Rocket Sanders in there at running back, 881 yards, 11 TDs. The Illini are going to have their regular quarterback, 61%. Altmaier, 25-43. From a portal standpoint, South Carolina's got three backup players, a backup quarterback. They've got a couple of guys out too as well. I don't think there's going to be much impact from a portal and a layout standpoint in this particular situation. When I look at this game, during the last 6 games, South Carolina's taken out 3 ranked teams, holding opponents to 14 or fewer points. And I just don't think Illinois is going to have enough to move the ball that well against South Carolina. So that's why I kind of fade in that South Carolina Gamecocks to cover those 10 points, Mike.
All right. How many did you say? Sorry, you might have. Did you say how many transfers Illinois has?
What? There's only they only had 2 when I looked, but it's been a few days, so they don't have a lot in the portal. Was the last I heard. That's why I think this is one of those games that's going to be pretty nice head to head. Not a lot of portal traffic. There could be some layouts, but I have not heard of that many.
Okay. All right. Right on. We got Baylor taking on LSU. Big 12 versus the SEC here at Gator Dave. In Texas. It's going to be played in Houston in the Texan Stadium. Baylor favored by 3.5. Dave Aranda, we've talked about it pretty much all year long. At the beginning of the year, we thought he was going to be the first people out when we were talking about coaches and firings, hot seats. It seems his seat has cooled down quite a bit, Dave. They announced he's coming back next year, and Baylor went on quite the run to end the year. I believe it was on a 6-game win streak right now going into this game. Offenses look good. Quarterback's playing great. Flip side for LSU, you got a lot of guys that are hit the portal, a lot of guys that are preparing for the draft, not playing in this one. Best wide receiver, Lacey, CJ Daniels, he transferred. Harold Perkins, he announced that he's coming back next year, so he should play in this game. That's going to be big for LSU's defense. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be enough here. I think Baylor is going to win this one in a shootout. I kind of like the over in this one also. I think both teams could probably put up 30 here, but I'm going to go Baylor minus 3.5 here, Dave. What do you got?
All right, so I'm kind of with you, Mike. First of all, I'd like to point out this is the Kinder's Texas Bowl. This would be my favorite sponsor, Mike. I'm a big Kinder's fan. We're going to throw out a little sponsorship. Maybe they'll sponsor us next year, but I'm all about barbecue, Mike, and Kinder's has all those sauces and special seasoning that I just love, and my cabinets are full of Kinder's. So plug in for the Kinder's Texas Bowl here, Mike. So
everybody tag them in the comments below. Let's get Dave this sponsorship.
There you go. Navoski. Oh, you got a margarita for the game. Navoski's on here. Yes, sir. Navoski, 32-ouncer from Poblano is already down there, my friend. All right, so here's what we got. Now, the interesting part about this one, Dave Aranda, I thought you'd catch this, or I know you know it, but put it out there. Dave Aranda at one time 5 years ago was the LSU DC, right?
He won a ring with old Ed Orgeron down there.
Yes,
Joe
sir.
Burrow.
Yes, sir. They were for real down there back then with Crazy Joe. So Baylor comes in 6-game winning streak, nice wins. LSU won their last 2 against Oklahoma and Vandy. They, however, lost to Florida, Bama, and Tam. So Baylor comes in at 9-3 against the spread, which I think is a very interesting point. LSU is only 4-8, Mike. Nussmeier's playing in a game, which is going to be a good thing for them. Aranda he wants to beat his former team. They want to end this year on a nice streak. I know LSU's all they're really worried about is reloading in the portal, because their freaking recruiting class wasn't that good, and they really kind of sucked this year because they lost to us. But I am thinking very strongly that the Baylor Bears can win this one outright. So I know we're 3.5 here, Mike, is what we're saying. So give me Baylor and the 3.5 points, sir.
All right. I love it. I love it.
Next game.
Moving on.
We got the real deal now. We got the real games. Penn State versus Boise State in the first game of the week. We've got in the Fiesta Bowl on December 31st, 7:30 p.m. Penn State getting 11.5 points up against Boise State. Penn State coming in 12-2. Boise State 12-1. Penn State beat SMU in the play-in game 38-10. Their losses were to Oregon by 8 and in the Big Ten championship against Ohio State. Boise won the Mountain West. The only loss to Oregon by 3 early in the year. Penn State 6-6 against the spread. Boise State 6-5. Of course, we got our quarterbacks, Drew Aller for Penn State. We got Singleton and Allen in the backfield there at Penn State, which is awesome. Boise State's got Madsen at quarterback, and of course Genty at running back. 94, yards, 29 TDs, just amazing. Portal standpoint, nothing to really think about. Penn State's backup quarterback, that's about it. Boise State, their backup quarterback's in there too, but nothing to really fret about in that regard. I think Penn State is going to be able to stack the box a little bit in this situation, obviously trying to stop Genty and that heavy running opponent. Their offense has been pretty tough as of late. Warren and Singleton Singleton and Allen have done a really nice job as of late. So I suspect Penn State and, this 11.5 points might be a little too much for me. So, Mike, I am going to go the under in this particular situation, under 52. I think this game's going to end up somewhere like 31-17, something like that. So, what do you think, Mike?
I think the under is a good pick. I think it's going to be hard-nosed. It's going to be run the football, control the ball, control the game. Don't turn it over. Having said that, Dave, I am drinking the Kool-Aid. Go Broncos, baby. Go Broncos. I'm going Boise State plus the 11. They're playing in the Fiesta Bowl, which is their creme de la creme when it comes to bowl games for Boise State. That's where they've won. They're 2-0 in the Fiesta Bowl. I like Boise. I like Boise to actually get this one outright potentially here against Penn State. Penn State's ability to stop the run is elite. They're only giving up 100 yards a game this year. But guess what? They haven't faced a running back like Ashton Genty. They faced one team with the caliber of running back that Boise State is going to bring into this game, and that was Ohio State, and they gave up 176 in a loss to Ohio State, where their running backs were averaging over 6.5 yards per carry. I think Ashton Genty is going to be able to carve them up. I think the quarterback is going to be able to be... He's not going to go out there and become a first-round draft pick in this game, but he's going to manage it. He's going to not be able to turn the ball over. I think Boise's going to have some trick plays like they've had in the past and what they're sort of famous for in these types of games. They have nothing to lose. They're going to give it all they got. I think, if anything, this is going to be a very competitive game. So I think 11 is way too much in this round of the playoffs. First round, okay, I get it. We haven't really talked about it, but 12 teams. You put the bottom four in there, and they all got absolutely waxed. So I think it was a big case for why the playoffs should maybe be just 8 teams. But now you're moving into those final 8 teams. Now it's a little more even. Granted, Boise is a group of 5 team. It's not a Power 4 team. But they had a guy who's a Heisman candidate, probably the best running back I've seen in my lifetime. And in the last 50 years outside of Barry Sanders, he was right there with him. Almost broke his record. I think he's going to give Penn State everything they want and then some. You look at Drew Aller, the quarterback for Penn State. I'm not ready to bank on him being a Final Four quarterback in this country, or playing for that spot in the national championship. I just don't see it. James Franklin, the head coach, can't win the big game when it matters the most. This is one that he will be tested in. It's not a home game in Happy Valley here. They're going across the country. Give me Boise, Dave.
I like it, Mike. I like it a whole lot. I think that's a good call. So next big game, we got Texas, Arizona State. What do you think in this one, Mike?
I'm gonna go the over. I'm going to go the over 51.5 here, Dave. I think it's going to be points. I think Arizona State has same thing with Boise. It's a lot of points in this round. I understand Arizona State's coming from the Big 12. They're coming in as the 12 seed. Not a lot of credit was given to them up until the last week or two of the season when all of a sudden they became on people's radar. You got Scatabo, the running back, potential Heisman guy. I think he finished 5th in Heisman voting. He almost made it to New York. Quarterback is good. Sam Leavitt, transfer from Michigan State. Arizona State has tools, and they have belief, and they have confidence. So that makes them a scary team, just like Boise State does. Against Texas, though, I mean, that defense is legit. That defense is for real. If Arizona State can hold Quinn Ewers where he's not going crazy, they're getting pressure on him, this will be a close game that Arizona State may mess around and win. I don't think they will. I think Texas gets it done. They move on. But I do think Arizona State will be able to have some success against this Texas defense. They're going to leave it all out on the line. Kenny Dillingham, their head coach, is an offensive-minded guy. He's going to have things up his sleeve for this one. Going against Steve Sarkisian, who's also an offensive-minded guy for Texas. Give me the over 51.5 here, Dave, in a shootout where I think Arizona State gets the cover, Texas gets the win. What do you got?
Yep, I think we're going to flip-flop like we did on the last game, Mike. So very interesting situation, very, very similar analogies to what you've got here. So Quentin Ewers is the kind of the center of this whole thing. And I would call it a little bit of the center of the woes, is he's had 10 interceptions, 17 turnover-worthy plays, and they're the bottom 30 nationally among qualified quarterback turnovers. So, I mean, he sucks in that category. Arizona State, 3rd nationally in giveaways per game, averaging only 0.6 per game. Okay. This pairs quite nicely when we look at a run-heavy offense, especially with Arizona State's quarterback, Sam Leavitt, only having 5 interceptions and 4 turnover-worthy plays. So when we look at this thing, I think it's going to come down to turnovers. I also feel strongly about Arizona State's offense being able to stick with Texas. Texas obviously has got the better team, the better roster, and they probably win the game, Mike. But I'm going to take, what do we got, 12.5 or 13 here, Mike?
13.
We got 13 here, Mike. Mike, I'm going to take the Sun Devils in those 13 points, Mike. I think they can stick. I think, Texas might win, but it might only be 3, 7, 10 at most. but give me the Sun Devils with those 13 points.
All right. I love it. Moving on. We got 6 games left. Another CFP game here, Dave. Ohio State taking on Oregon. Rematch of a Big Ten game earlier this year, which ultimately ended up keeping Ohio State out of the Big Ten championship. They lost by 1 when they played Oregon in Eugene, Oregon. We got Ohio State as a 2.5-point favorite. Total sitting at 55.5. I think there's going to be points, Dave. I think there's going to be points. The first time these two teams played, they were a little timid. Play calling was a little timid. Neither one of them wanted to lose the game. They were afraid to make mistakes. That's why I ended up with a 20-19 sloppy win for Oregon that came down to coaching and just a mental error by Ohio State's quarterback. Give me the over 55.5. I think they're going to find a way to score. I think both teams are going to be in the 30s. I think this is like a 34-31 type of game. So give me the over here. What do you got, Dave?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing here, Mike. So we got pretty evenly matched teams. Ohio State 11-2, and Oregon at 13-0. Ohio State's lost to obviously Oregon and their nemesis Michigan. Both teams only 6-6 against the spread, so that kind of makes you think, right? Quarterbacks come in doing a fine job, both at 73%, throwing over 3,000. We don't have to go into that. They both got great running offenses. Portal side of things, nothing to really write home to mom about. Obviously, if Howard goes down, then Ohio State's toast because they got Devin Brown and Aaron Nolan in the transfer portal. So that would be the only thing that I look at when I look at any portal or layouts or anything like that. So Ducks defense leads the Big Ten with 3 sacks per game. I expect, just like you do, another high-scoring game, back and forth. Both teams kind of trading those punches. I do kind of give the Ducks a little bit of an advantage when it comes to preparation. They've had a little bit more time to prepare. So, Mike, I'm with you. Give me the over 55.5 points in this one.
Awesome. Love it.
Hey, we got Hindu.
All right.
We got Hindu and Kevin Smith in the chat. What's up, guys?
What's going on, guys? Appreciate y'all hopping in. This is the game. The final playoff game of the second round. Biggest matchup we got. Notre Dame taking on Georgia. This is in the Sugar Bowl down in New Orleans. You got Georgia as a 2-point favorite. Total sitting at 44.5. Carson Beck. This is the big story of this one. Carson Beck, the quarterback for Georgia. He is out for the remainder of the playoffs. He is hurt. So he's done. He's got a UCL injury to his elbow. So he is over for the season. He's getting ready for the draft, which is interesting because I don't think he's going to get drafted. But that's neither here nor there. I think it's Notre Dame here, Dave. I'm gonna straight up say it. I got Notre Dame +2. I like this team. We've talked about them multiple times this year. We've talked about Marcus Freeman, specifically the head coach, multiple times this year, last year, the year before. We talked about him a lot after they lost to Northern Illinois earlier this year, and he was on my hot seat immediately. I immediately questioned his ability to get his team to finish games, to take that next step. And, man, did he prove me wrong with the remainder of their season. Notre Dame played lights out. Riley Leonard stepped up. He looked like the guy that they went and got in the transfer portal. He's a dual threat. He reminds me a lot of Josh Allen. He kind of almost, at this point, looks to run first. They're great on the ground game. They're great in the trenches. Their defense is elite. And they are going against a quarterback for Georgia. While he has confidence and while he was highly recruited, this is going to be the second game that he's played in, first start of his career. And, man, is that a task to do it in the playoffs, win or go home against one of the best defenses in the country. Notre Dame is top 5 offense, top 5 defense, top 5 special teams. everything that you want in a championship caliber team. Notre Dame has it. It's going to be a tough, tough, tough matchup for a Georgia squad that all year long has really struggled to get going in the first half. They've been a second half team, and this is one of those games that they cannot struggle at all to get going early, especially with that backup quarterback. They cannot play catch up football in this game to have any shot. They have to get out early, and they have to hold it with their defense. If Georgia is going to win this game, it is going to be behind elite defense, which they have, but it's going to be tough to do for 4 quarters. I think ultimately Notre Dame finds a way to get it done. It's a low-scoring game in my mind, but I think Notre Dame finds a way to move on. I think that injury to the quarterback is a little bit bigger than people are giving it credit for. So give me Notre Dame +2. Dave, what do you got?
All right, here's what we got. Let's look at the stats here, Mike. So 11-1, Notre Dame against Georgia, 11-2. So Notre Dame's lost against Northern Illinois. Georgia lost to Ole Miss and Bama. So when we look against the spread, Notre Dame is 10-2. Georgia, Mike, 3-9. Riley Leonard done quite a good job this year. We talked about that. 67%, 22-93, 17-6. The running back Love's done a great job. We look at Georgia. We got Stockton coming in, the backup. He has only thrown 32 passes. He's completed 25, 78% for 206 yards, 1 interception. We got running backs Frazier and the Trader, who have done quite a good job for the Bulldogs. Georgia.
Say his name, Dave. Say his
No,
name.
man, I don't know. It starts with an E.
Put some respect on his name,
Trader,
Dave.
man. He's a traitor, man. It starts with an E. We'll leave it there. So, portal news. Nothing really per se. Notre Dame's got 3, no issues. Georgia 5, not anything to talk about. Let me hit you with some interesting numbers here, Mike. Talent composite, Georgia, number 2 in the nation at 92.85. Notre Dame, number 9
blue chips.
at 91.14. Not too far behind. Kind of surprised me a little bit. Here's the kicker, Mike. Strength of schedule. Notre Dame, 42nd strength of schedule. Georgia, number 1. The key question mark here, Mike, is what? Gunner Stockton. What's going to happen with him? That's what we're all kind of wondering about. Is Bobo going to be able to come up with something, some magic to make it happen for them dogs? You know, Evelyn, Hindu. Can Bobo make it happen out there? So let's throw some more stuff out. This is the one game I've got more information and less good gut feel about it. Against running and larger quarterbacks, Notre Dame struggled against Bryson Daly, Jalen Maeva. They both scored twice against the Irish. Horvath got a touchdown. Muscat, 2 against them. Once Georgia gets in the red zone, they're going to run Stockton to, throw that thing out there with everybody's looking at Etienne or Frazier. Who knows? Georgia coach Kirby Smart's 2-0 in his career against Notre Dame with wins over Notre Dame in 2017 and 19. Don't really like to look back on old games, but I thought I'd throw that out there because I'm still stalling for understanding what my pick is. I expect Notre Dame to keep the ball on the ground as often as possible. We know that because quarterback's not going to be able to throw it. Georgia's ranked 11th in the SEC in rushing defense, which is not too good, which should open up the door for Riley Leonard and Love to run the ball. What doesn't bode well for Stockton is the Bulldogs' pass protection. Georgia ranks 52nd in sacks allowed, with 21, which is a little worrisome when you got a green quarterback back there. By contrast, Notre Dame's ranked 30th in sacks, averaging 2 per game, not Notre Dame. With all that said, Mike, I'm going with the over 44.5 points here, sir, because I could not make up my mind. Sorry, folks. Can't make that
right.
pick. Give me the over 44.5.
I mean, I could see it. I definitely could see it. You know, Notre Dame gets 28. Georgia puts up 17. That's your over right there.
Yeah.
Georgia puts up 28. Notre Dame puts up 20. There's your over. So
It's just the whole question mark to me with
24,
with
21.
Stockton's the issue. Can they hide it? Can Georgia just really, which they have over the years, depending on that run and made it happen and got away with guys to dink and dunk every once in a while. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just don't know. And really, Mike, the other thing, I still don't feel that great about. I'm not 100% sold on Notre Dame's schedule and who they played. Because if you look at a lot of what's going on in these bowl games, strength of schedule is a big deal, man. And I think that most of these teams that have the tough schedules have come through. But who knows? You know, who knows? All right.
I think one of the biggest things for Notre Dame going into this one, though, is they've seen Georgia lose this year. They've seen Georgia play very tight games to teams that they should have blown out. So that armor has a kink in it. So I think that confidence will be there for Notre Dame. You're talking about the strength of schedule, and I hear that, I understand that, but at the same time, because of that maybe lesser strength of schedule, this team is coming into this game with a lot of confidence, a lot of mojo behind them, and a lot of purpose that they feel like they belong. So they're going to be ready for this one, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to this game, and I just hope that the airplane has live TV. Delta has live TV going across the Pacific Ocean, sir.
Quick flex there, Dave. I see you. All right. Moving on here, we got 4 games left, rather. We got Duke taking on Ole Miss, ACC versus SEC. ACC's been atrocious. I'll go ahead and say it because I know you're going to. ACC's been terrible in bowl games so far this year. I don't know if they've even been able to win one yet. They're not going to win this one. I can tell you that right now. Malik Murphy, quarterback for Duke, he hit the transfer portal almost immediately when that season was over for them. Manny Diaz, head coach for Duke. He's a transfer portal guy. Unfortunately, the guys that he's bringing in aren't going to be able to play in time in this one. And Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin's going to have fun with this game. I can almost guarantee it. So I think Ole Miss minus 17 is a safe bet here. It's going to get played down in Jacksonville. Should be nice weather. I just don't see how Duke competes in this. I think Ole Miss will put up 35 plus pretty easily. I don't know if Duke will be able to hit 20, 15. I think they're going to struggle. So give me Ole Miss minus 17. Dave, what do you got?
Mike, I'm right there.
A lot of points, though. A lot of points. I don't like these big spreads in these bowl games.
Yeah, I know, but and I'm with you. The next two have above double digit by quite a bit, but man, once I dug into what's going on here, I mean, here are the keys in this game, Mike, and make you feel good about your 17. So Duke is starting quarterback Henry Balin. He's their number 3 quarterback at Duke. He's 1 for 1 for 7 yards. He hasn't thrown an interception. He's run for 23 on 5 carries, and he's been around 3 years. Not a lot of confidence on the QB side for Duke. That's the first one. Look at the other side of quarterback. Jackson Dart going into the NFL, 70%, 38, 62. 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, run for 452, and 3 TDs. They're also going to have their running back, Bentley, 136 yards. We look at the portal. Duke's missing their number 1 and number 2 quarterback. They're also missing their starting running back, Mike. Lewis Moore, their starting running back. No big deal there either. And Ole Miss has lost 6. They got backup Howard. They got a cornerback, right tackle, but not a lot going on there. I just think this is they're going to be totally outmatched. I mean, Ole Miss would whoop them by 7-10 on a good day. You take out and go to the number 3 quarterback. You don't have your starting running back. 17 is easy. I'd almost give this one, Mike. Give it a Gator Dave lock, and Ole Miss covering those 17 points.
Yep, very good points there, Dave. I agree.
Hey,
right.
Mike, you need to check the chat. We have Kyle Pinnell in there.
Do we? Do we though?
We got to go Gators from Kyle. You the man, Kyle. Thank you, sir.
We need some Canes in the chat, man. We need some Canes in the chat.
Hey,
we're quiet right now, though. We're
dogs,
quiet. We're hiding.
We got Gators. So let's do this. Next game, Mike.
Man.
North Texas, Texas State. We're staying in Texas. We got the First Responder Bowl on January the 3rd, Mike. So these teams come in. Texas State is favored by 14. That's a lot of points, Mike. Over under 63.5. North Texas 6-6. Texas State 7-5. I think the most important thing is to roll into portal news. North Texas has 12 in the portal, Mike. Their number 1 quarterback, their starting tight end, their number 1 wide receiver, their starting center are out for this game. Now, Texas State's missing an offensive tackle and a running back, a couple of D tackles. So Texas State opened as favorites, 7.5-point favorites. What are they at, 14 now? You see why, right? They got a pretty dynamic offense, Mike. 45 points per game in the last 30 days. The Mean Green have given up 37 or more in their last 5, and that's without their starting quarterback. Mike, give me Texas State in those 14 points to cover quite easily in this game.
Yeah, you mentioned it. So I'm going to go with the under here, 63.5. North Texas starting quarterback is out. They've had a great offense all year long, but after he's been gone, it's not been great for them. They've struggled to hit 20, 30 points a game in their last 3 or 4 games. Not really the same North Texas team they've been all year. Texas State starting running back, he is not going to be going in this one. So that's a huge chunk of their offense that they're going to be without. I think 63.5 is too many points here, so I'm going to go the under 63.5. I think Texas State is probably the best play here. It's a lot of points. But for the reasons you mentioned about North Texas and the guys that they're missing, I think that's a good play, Dave.
All right. Future is quite bright for those Gators, Kyle. Thanks for joining, my friend. All right, next game, we got Minnesota, 7.5.
Making Dave's night, Kyle. Making Dave's night.
Making the night, man. We got all this stuff. We're all fired up. It's over for us, but, All right, so Minnesota, 7.5 favorites over Vatek, 42.5. This is a Duke's Mayo Bowl, Mike. The coach for the winning team gets doused with mayonnaise. Ugh. Yep. I don't know if I'd want to win that one, so we'll leave that one there. So
maybe it's good for your skin, your hair. Maybe.
Good point, Mike. Good for the skin.
Yeah, I think so.
Good one. The Gophers won 3 of the last 5. Virginia Tech has lost 3 of the last 5. Minnesota, interesting stat here, Mike, 9-2-1 against the spread. Vatek 6-6. So the good news is, and the reason I am going this way is the Gophers have their starting quarterback in the game. Brosmer, quarterback, is playing. He's thrown for over 2,600 yards, 17-5. That's a good thing because Virginia Tech, they don't have their starting quarterback in there. Your boy is not there. I know you're hoping he goes in the portal and comes to Miami. We'll see how that goes. But they're starting Pop Watson.
It'd be a good fit.
Yeah, it would. True that. I still think you're better with yours. They're no drones. They're starting Pop Watson. He's 57%, 400 yards, 1-1. Running back Tootin, 1158 on yards. Not too shabby. Minnesota's got a couple in the portal. They've got an opt-out cornerback that's opt-out. Their number 1 tackler is out. Virginia Tech got 9. They're starting left tackle. They're starting center. They're starting cornerback. And they're starting safety are not in the game. Their starting defensive end, who is their sack leader, is not playing. And defensive tackle, starting wide receiver. There's a lot not playing for Virginia Tech here, Mike. So with all that said, give me the Gophers and those 7.5 points, sir, to cover those.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under 42.5 here, Dave. I don't think Vatek is going to have much success offensively against this Minnesota defense without Kyron Drones out there. I think they're going to struggle to get past 24 points here in this one. Minnesota on the flip side, I don't think their offense is going to be, lights out. They haven't typically had a lights out offense all year long. I don't think that's going to change here, even with as many guys as Vatek is missing. So give me the under 42.5. I think this one's close. I think Minnesota could get the cover, but I just don't see how these offenses are able to find too much success here. All right, Dave, last game of our 13 going into this week. And does this get us through Saturday, right? So all the way up until
Saturday
next Monday.
The 4th. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So it gets us all the way up to next Monday. Okay, cool. So we got Buffalo taking on Liberty. Buffalo's a 2.5-point favorite. Line shifted. It opened at Liberty plus 2.5, I believe. So it's made a good bit of movement since then. Total sitting at 50.5. Main reason for that line shift is obviously Caden Salter, the quarterback for Liberty. He is gone. He transferred to Colorado, so he is no longer there. I'm going to go with Buffalo. I like Liberty's coach, Jamie Chadwell, the old Coastal Carolina head coach. There was talk of him potentially going to Florida if Billy Napier wasn't going to be the guy moving forward. I think he's a good coach. I think he's going to have Liberty moving in the right direction. I think next year is probably going to be his last year at Liberty, if not sooner. Give me Buffalo, money line, to go in, get it done. They got 8 wins on the year. They got more guys coming back than I believe they do leaving. Whereas on the flip side, Liberty, I'm pretty sure, has a ton of guys in the transfer portal right now. Give me Buffalo to get it done. Dave, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm with you here, Mike. I mean, I'm feeling the same thing. Normally, you definitely go Liberty in this particular situation, but with Salter out, at 3 or 4 other 3 of the 4 starting O linemen, Mike, for Liberty are out of the game. 2 starting D linemen. I mean, that's a pretty rough hit in this particular situation. And Buffalo's got CJ Agbana, who's done relatively well at quarterback, 57%, 42, 19-5, ran for 8 touchdowns. They got their running back in there who almost rushed for 1,000 yards. I mean, this is another one of those games with too much off of one particular team and the other team, kind of rising above the other. So, Mike, I'm going to go the same here. I'm going to go Buffalo in the money line to cover this particular game. So, pretty easy pick here in this particular situation.
Love it, love it. Shout out to Evelyn in the chat. Thank you for the reminder. Definitely check out our sponsor up here at the top, shopcya.com. We didn't get a chance to do a cover your assets segment this week, but I promise we'll have one for you next week. Let me throw up the recap here. We got both Missouri taking on Iowa tomorrow in the Monday game. I'm on the under in Bama, Michigan. You got Bama in that one. I'm on Washington. You're on the under. I'm on the over, South Carolina, Illinois. You got South Carolina minus the 10. We're both on Baylor. Against LSU, I got Boise plus the 11. You are on the under 52.5 there. Texas, Arizona State, I'm on the over. You're on Arizona State. To get the cover, we're both on the over in the Ohio State-Oregon game. I got Notre Dame plus the 2. You got the over in the Notre Dame-Georgia game. Both on Ole Miss minus the 17. North Texas, Texas State. I'm on the under. You got Texas State to cover the 14 there. You're also taking Minnesota to cover the 7.5 against Vatech. I'm on the under 42.5 in that one. And last but not least, a little Maction to round it up here, Dave. We got Buffalo money line to get it done. I feel good about it, Dave. I feel good about this week. Feels good. We have some success in this bowl season right now.
Yes. Let's keep the success rolling for sure. I do want to thank everybody. It's probably the last time you're going to see my live face here, but man, it's been a great year. I appreciate everyone that's been involved. Appreciate all the folks in the chat. Nice for Kyle Pennell to join us for the first time. I think we've seen him. Appreciate another Gator fan being on. Kevin Smith, new guy there, and all the folks that have joined throughout the season. And keep watching, keep looking. Mike and I have talked about we're going to do some things a little bit differently next year. Maybe move toward some formatting changes that allow us to branch out our horizons. So, but it's been a great year, Mike, and I appreciate all you've done. I mean, the big thing here with the amazing graphics that you've changed and updated, it looks amazing. I get comments all the time how professional it looks. I mean, somebody came to me the other day and said, "Man, I got on.
How we doing?
I got on your show, and man, that thing looks kind of professional." I go, "Yeah, and it's just us, just Mike and I. Mike doing all the production work and so forth." So
it's about family.
It is, and we are definitely connected via that way. So thanks so much for everyone being on, and continue to watch at least another week. Make sure everyone subscribes and likes. So when we get rolling in August of next year to talk about upcoming games, everybody joins in. We had some really good activity in August with folks looking at what we're looking at in terms of where we thought particular conferences laid out. So it's been fun. I hate it coming to an end, but it's been a great few months here on the channel. And Bet's Utopia, I think our rebrand has gone well, and like I said, a lot more to come next year in 2025. So, Mike, what say you?
Giveaways,
sir?
Dave. We're bringing giveaways. Giveays all coming in 2025. That's what we're bringing to the people.
Let's do
giveaways. Giveaways and competition.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, yeah, Gator Dave, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for always being available. Minus, obviously, you taking this trip to enjoy your time off as you should. I will hold down the fort until you return. And good luck to everybody this week. Good luck in this next round of playoffs. It's going to be some good games. We got 4 great games here. We're getting down to the knit and grit, so should be a good week for sure. It's kind of weird though. I don't know how I feel. I understand it's on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I don't know how I feel about this Tuesday, Wednesday, biggest games of the year lining up on these days. It's kind of weird, but I'm not mad at it.
In the old days, when you were a youngster.
Well, yeah, New Year's Day was the day. Yeah, I know. I get it.
There you go, buddy. There you go. We back with that. It should be fun.
Honor the past.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, good luck to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Like Dave said, subscribe, like, comment, put the bell on, get the notifications when we go live.
Tell your friends about us.
Get it out there.
We'll be back.
Get it out there.
We'll be back kicking ass next year in 2025. Thanks so much for everybody, and of course I gotta say it. Go Gators!
Still all about you, baby. Still.